Hey Limitless Nation, today you're in for a real treat. Today you get to learn directly from Craig Sotkovsky. Craig is an entrepreneur, best-selling author, father, and international speaker. Craig has been an entrepreneur and mentor for more than 30 years. He doesn't have a standard toolkit of tips and practices to use, as he is currently battling lung cancer as a World Trade Center survivor. Craig brings his considerable and varied life experiences to bear in practical and deeply personal ways to guide his clients through their unique situations using NLP. In today's masterclass, you're going to learn directly from the master himself, Craig Sotkovsky. Let's dive into it.
Before you dive into today's masterclass session, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the button below. It allows you to receive notification bell every single time we provide you with the contents that allows you to live a limitless life. Now, if you want to go deeper on learning on how you can hunt your future, make sure you download our masterclass session at huntyourfuture.com. It allows you to know exactly what you need to do to hunt your future. Plus, we are also going to share with you tips and tricks on what you need to do to live a limitless life starting from today's forward. Now, let's dive into today's masterclass sessions.
Welcome, Craig Sotkovsky.
There you go. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us today.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Craig, is there anything that we did not mention in the bio that you'd like to share with the Limitless Nation?
No, you have it covered.
Okay. Well, here at the Limitless Nation, we have a tradition of starting each and every interview with a limitless quote or mantra or even affirmation. Do you have such a quote that you have embedded into your life on a daily basis?
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody laughs or cries in a different language.
Nobody laughs or cries in a different language?
Exactly. We're all the same. Be nice.
I like that. That's a different way of thinking about it. I like it. Now, Craig, do you have a challenge or a setback or even a failure or perhaps an obstacle that you've had to overcome in your life?
Yeah, I've had a bunch of them. My last was, I'm 53 years old, so my last major thing in my life was I was a ground zero responder at World Trade Center in 2001, and from that I ended up developing a carcinoid tumor in my lung. So I had lung cancer where they removed my mid and lower right lung, and it's taken me literally almost 2 years to fight my way back.
Wow.
Last one.
That is intense. Thanks for your service and helping with the 9/11 responding.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, Craig, in going through that very traumatic event, what is, we call it here, an aha moment? A moment where everything shifts in the mindset, or just shifts from here to here. Is it a moment like that happened through there, or?
Yeah, what I've realized is I got what we call cancer brain, cancer head.
Okay.
Where I was making irrational decisions based off the fact that I literally thought I was dying. So I was in preparation of just setting my wife and daughter up. And in doing that, made a lot of mistakes, a lot of financial mistakes, a lot of intense personal mistakes. You know, being at that point in your life where you think it's over, right? You start falling into that victimization, right? Like, why me? And then one day I just woke up and was like, why not me? Good things happen to bad people all the time. Bad things happen to good people all the time. So why not me? And once that paradigm hit here, it was a game change. I found myself distancing myself from my wife and my daughter. Because I mean, I'd be in bed for a week or two at a time or a month, and it devastates the family unit. It devastates your mindset. It puts you in fight, flight, or freeze. I think I was doing a little bit of all three.
Wow. That's definitely quite the situation there. So you overcame all of that simply because you, I don't want to say stumbled because that doesn't sound right, but you came to this realization, or your paradigm shift. All of a sudden you realized that you were in control of your life.
That's the only way we start to grow, in my opinion, is when you realize that you see your life flashing before you, right? That dramatic, oh, it's zipping by, right? And you start picking out the things that you want in this world, right? And I had a buddy of mine tell me, and because I was freaking out one day, I was just like, I don't know, I was just wigging out. And he's like, listen, man, write your obituary and then live your life according to your obituary. How do you want to be viewed? And when I did that, I started writing out how I wanted to be viewed, and I've lived my life like that ever since. There is no compromise. There is no dealing with other people's nonsense. I'm not saying I have a short fuse. I don't really have a fuse anymore. It's just, if you're saying something and you think you're right, you are. I don't have your experience. I'm not going to argue with you because everybody has a different experience. So if we're going to get into an argument, you're going to be showing me your perspective. I'm going to be showing you my perspective, and we're not going to get anywhere. You know, why argue? It's not even worth it.
I agree. So, Craig, with all of your experience and everything that you're going through, what are you working on right now?
Hope you enjoyed the masterclass session so far. Before we get into the second half of the session itself, it is very crucial for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I really don't want you to miss out on another masterclass where I'm going to share with you what other expert celebrities, Fortune 5000 companies do to become successful and live a limitless life. So make sure you subscribe right now, and every single time we upload a new video, you will receive a notification bell. This allows you to enjoy the masterclass on the regular basis. So make sure you subscribe right now. Well, as you are ready, let's get into the second half of the masterclass session.
Right now, so I'm up in the air on a bunch of things, right? So getting out of this cancer thing, I'm looking for little wins. I'm working on my second book. Still don't know what the name is, but it's Overcoming the Big C. And the big C would be me, just overcoming my thoughts as Craig. You know, what am I thinking about, and how am I getting rid of all this thinking that we like to say. I'm also working on more speaking engagements. I'm thinking about RVing around the United States and setting up things in public libraries and just speaking about the effects of being sick, right? The effects of, you know, the family, what the family goes through. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and she's been through so much, as well as my wife. They were my caretakers for almost 2 years. I asked my daughter certain things, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I thought you were going to be dead," and that's simply what I thought. You know, so it affects people in different ways. You know, so I actually have them writing about their experience while we were going through that, and I'm going to be putting that my wife's perspective, my daughter's perspective, as well as mine, into my new book.
Wow, that sounds exciting. So you mentioned speaking engagements. How can the Limitless Nation and viewers and listeners learn and find out more about that?
All the speaking engagements will be posted on my website.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your website?
Actually, CraigSotkovsky.com.
Okay. Would you mind spelling that out for people who are listening by podcast?
Sure. It's CraigSotkovsky.com. My social media is pretty much the same, Craig Sotkovsky.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Now, Craig, in going through all of this difficulty, or even before this, what would you say is something that was really holding you back from becoming limitless?
So when I was young, I had an experience where I was molested. It brought me till I was in my mid-40s before I was able to deal with that. So just understanding the whole molesting experience, right? I was embarrassed. I was emotionally insecure. I was like, you know, how are people going to judge you? You know, blah, 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 blah. And what happened was once I started to accept that, right, change the state, the emotional state to how I felt about the experience, I started helping people, lots of people. And then it got to a point where, as I was changing the emotional, disempowering thoughts around that experience, these new empowering thoughts came in of how I was helping people. So was it a bad experience? Yeah, I mean, there's good and bad in everything, right? You have to look at a new perspective, I guess, through your experiences. And for me, it was a game changer, because I started to see how I could help people. Once I started getting into that, my emotional attachment to it changed. And that's what I want to do with the rest of the world, one person at a time.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, Craig,
as we both know, and we talked in length before we started recording, you have transformed and changed many people's lives for the better. But if we take a step back just a little bit, what was a bit of advice that you received personally before you started all this that really helped you go for your limitless life?
Just keep pushing past everything. Like literally, just like my father, I was raised by a Marine, and he was part of the chosen few. And if people Google that, it's an amazing part of American history. And he was one of the frozen chosen, as they say. So I grew up with this tough exterior of a man. Interior, he's a heart, a big teddy bear, heart of gold kind of thing. And always showed me where, you could look at one thing and it could be something entirely different. So you have to look at things in life as life is throwing them at you, good and bad, right? So you have to appreciate the good and bad, because you never know what's going to happen. Your life can change on a dime like that. You know that as well as I do,
Yeah.
right? Like immediately your life can just be shattered, right?
Right.
As fast, your life can be changed for the good. And I've seen that with helping people create different states where you have this emotional attachment to something. And we go in and just alter the way somebody thinks about an event. Their life has changed forever. That aha moment that we're all looking for requires work. And that's what I always wanted to help everybody, right? Now I know that you really can't. You have to help people that want to help themselves. And once they get to that point, that's when I come in and do the stuff that I like to do.
That's amazing. Now, you talked a little bit about habits. What are some habits in your life that you have implemented that help you maintain this limitless life?
Gratitude, practicing gratitude all the time. I'm still going through physical challenges. I wake up and I'm yelling, kicking, and screaming just to get out of bed. It's like my back, my hip, my knee. It's like, then you slide out of bed. Then I sit there and I stretch. Then I just start telling myself like what I'm looking to do for that day. How am I going to be limitless on this day? I don't have bad days. I have moments. Once the moments are gone, then I continue on my journey for that day. At the end of the day, I evaluate, how was I a good person today? What was I a bad person? How can I change? And I like to tell people, I like to be a better person than who I was 10 minutes ago. That's literally part of my goals, is to be a better person than who I was 10 minutes ago. They said, I had somebody ask me, what's my ultimate goal? And my ultimate goal is to have 1 million people at my funeral. That to me, right, it sounds morbid or whatever, but I know eventually whenever I transition, if I get 1 million people to my funeral, I know that I've impacted hundreds of millions of people, right?
Right.
And that's what I'm striving for, because my message is bigger than I'll ever be. And that is something that I push every day. I know that I'm here for a reason. We're all here for a reason, to tell our story, to help, not hinder. I always wanted to be heard, right? I always wanted to be heard when I was on stage, and that was definitely my ego. Now I want to be felt. Now when I move, I want to feel the earth shake. We only have one shot at this thing. It's not a dress rehearsal. It's a one shot, one take thing. So why not just bull through it? The one thing that I love about humans is we all think like we have that ego to put everything in its own little boxes, right? We need to control things. And it's like, well, if we're a part of nature and nature is complete chaos, what makes us think that we're going to be able to control our lives? And what I've realized was the only thing that we can control is how we respond to whatever life throws at us. So that's my message. Everything is perspective.
Yes. So is that how you approach everything, even the really negative things that happened in your life that you don't want to have happen? Just everything's perspective?
Everything is perspective, everything is mindset, and everything is from this point right here, right, forward. You know, you're always going to look back, right? I've been studying a lot of Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, okay? And the philosophy behind what these gentlemen are teaching is like, it's not new age, it's just neuroscience at a much different level, right? So from this point forward is probably one of the most profound things that we can do and think about in our lives, because I always viewed my life with my back against the wall. Okay. I've had a lot of obstacles, which I believe I put myself in just to see if I can get out of. I've always been able to see certain outcomes before they actually happen. You know, moving forward is something like getting back up after something has hurt you, regardless of whatever it is. That is the most important, because people like to wallow in their self-pity. We get comfortable, right, in that victim mindset, and we have to radically change our physiology in order to radically change our life, right? So we need to be congruent. I was very incongruent. I was very reactionary. There were times in my life where it was just survival mode for 5 straight years, right? So it was like those decisions were not good ones. It was all reaction. Now I respond a lot. So what I mean by that is I'll take in whatever the situation is. I do really well in chaos. It's where I shine. Where things are just. I like to be the calmest one in the room, because that's where the outcome comes into play. You have to be. Do I still get rattled? Yeah, but for a very short period of time now. I call it my gulping moments, right? I'll be like, here it comes, right? And then I'll just go, and then it's done, man. I'll just attack it. I'll execute on it. I was speaking at Gaylord Palms Resorts one time, right, at this real estate convention, and I was working with my wife for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, just on how I'm going to execute on this and do this and do that. This is back in 2004 or 5. Can't really remember what year. And I'm getting there, and the guy's announcing me, and it's like, and here's Craig Sotkovsky, and he's going to give you, like, you know, he's going to give you the juice and the goods and all this stuff. And I got up there, and I was confident, right? But then as soon as I got up there, I grabbed the mic, and it squelched, right? So instead of a few dozen people, the whole convention center turned because the speaker squelched. Wow. I thought I had to change my drawers on that one, man. And it was like, I was supposed to be on for 30 minutes. It ended up being 10 minutes. Totally embarrassed myself. Like my brain just shut down. Like everything just like went crazy. And about an hour and a half later, a guy comes for the radio show. And he's like, who's in charge here? And I was like, oh, me. And he just like, oh, because he just heard me speak, right? And he's like, okay, listen, if you're the one I have to deal with, like these are his words, right? If you're the one I have to deal with, come on, let's go. And I got on his radio show, and I haven't stopped talking since. So I call it gulping moments, because we all have them. I still get nervous, but we just learn how to execute when we're under fire, right? When we have all this stuff hitting us. I think as life goes on and you experience more of life, I'm talking about like the good stuff, the bad stuff, and you start really accepting accountability for it and responsibility for your own life, right? I'm in my 50s, I'm not bitching and complaining about my mommy and daddy anymore. You know what I mean? I'm not getting into the mindset of, oh, things happen to me. Yeah, of course. They happen to everybody. Everybody has something, right? Somebody's going through something. That's why I was telling you before. Nobody laughs and cries in a different language, right? if you ever hear somebody laugh in Japanese, it's not a different language. You know,
Okay.
Mexican, different language. We're all human. You know what I mean? We're all human. So the same stuff that penetrates us is the same all over the world. We
Right.
all feel human emotions. Everybody's connected, and once you start connecting into your own emotions, your whole life changes.
hmm Now, Craig, what is a resource that you can give to the Limitless Nations to help them on their limitless journey?
A resource, I would say, go to my website, right, and give me 15 minutes of your life. And in 15 minutes, if I can't help you move in that direction past a first aha moment, then what I would say is dig deeper.
Okay.
Dig real deep. Dig real deep.
Okay. So go to your website and sign up for a 15-minute call with yourself.
Put your information in. Yeah, I'm giving everybody 15-minute calls, man. You know, I believe like one of the things that I've learned on my journey is how do I know that we can work together or even think together, right? If we're not on the same path, because I'm still learning, I'm still evolving. I'll do that until the day I die. And what I do is I evolve and I learn by helping others. And I'm a consummate student of life, right? I've learned conscious entrepreneur mastery. Okay, I know at that master level, I've only just begun because it's an ongoing conversation. Mastery in anything is you learning that you're just a beginner. You know, that's mastery. People are like, oh, you know, I've mastered this and I've mastered that, and it's like, yeah, if you've come to a conclusion, man, nothing else you can learn.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you for offering that up to the Limitless Nation viewers and listeners.
I appreciate that.
Now,
Thank you.
Craig, if you had to say in a hypothetical world that all the books in the world just all of a sudden disappeared, or rather the ones that you have, they'd all disappeared, and you only had enough money in your bank account for one book. It could be any book, but it could only be one book. What would be the first book that you would go out and get?
The Art of War.
Okay.
The Art of War as an entrepreneur, for myself, the Art of War is the businessman's Bible, because you have to know your terrain. You have to know your enemy, right? You have to know the peaks and valleys of life. You need to know, you know, where is your enemy coming from? Well, I know as a 53-year-old man, in my experience, the enemy comes here, right? When you can beat somebody before you even start an altercation, that's the ultimate checkmate. And the Art of War brings us all to a new level of understanding ourselves, because it's an ancient, you know, time-mastered ancient masterpiece. From there, Think and Grow Rich. There's How Would Love Respond by Keurig Ashley. There's mine, Everybody Pays a Vig. The only reason why I mention mine is because I wrote that as an entrepreneurial path, right? For the most part, that I can talk about legally, those journeys that I've encountered, those destinations that I've been to, right, have molded me into the person I am today. So you have to have your failures in your life with the same enthusiasm as your successes, because you have to learn to move right through them all the time. You got to keep pounding. You got to keep moving forward, because life will throw you a lot of different monkey wrenches, man, and you got to know how to use those tools.
I agree. I agree completely. Now, Craig, if you had the ability to go back and talk to the younger version of yourself, what would be the key piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Keep moving forward. Just understand that believe in yourself more, right? There's everybody's an expert in 2019. Okay. Everybody is, when I say everybody, it's generalization. People in 2019 want to be seen. They want to be heard, right? Don't do that. Do the opposite, right? Because nobody has a perfect life. On the internet, everybody tries to portray themselves as this perfect person. Don't fall for it. It's an illusion. Everybody, there's not one person that I've ever run into, and I've run into a lot of people in my life, that has had their stuff together 100%. Don't fall for it. Believe in yourself. Use your gut instinct. It's a God feeling for a reason. Go with it all the time, right? But bring your head along with your heart, and that's one of the biggest things. People want to do things from their heart and with their head, and once you have the synchronicity of both, right, and you're congruent in your message, believe in yourself. That is the biggest thing. There's so many people that don't believe in themselves. They're always comparing themselves to other people, right? Or they're feeding fear, right? Time.
Mm-hmm.
Learn how to execute, because that creates anxiety and stress, right, in everybody's life, because we're comparing or we're event driven, right? So don't be too event driven. Those events are going to happen. What I mean by that is I listen to people all the time talk about, when I get married, I'm going to be happy. When I have a kid, I'm going to be happy. When I'm a millionaire, I'm going to be happy. That's a death sentence, man. I mean, that's comparison.
That's not living in the now.
Exactly. The present, right? It's a present for a reason. Open it. It's a gift, right?
Right.
We're so anxious about the future. The future is a theory. It hasn't even happened yet. And the only reason why I'm telling you this is I used to fall into this. I used to actually believe that my future was going to be so much brighter than my present, but I was using the same logic of my past, right?
Right.
You can't change matter with matter, right?
Yes. I think it's exactly like what Einstein, who said that the thinking that got you into the problem cannot be the same thinking that gets you out of that very problem that you got yourself into.
Exactly. So you have to change your energy. You have to change your frequency. You have to change your programmed channel to actually gain through life, right? Life is mastery. Life is something that should be enjoyed. It's like love. Love is not supposed to hurt, but yet it does, right?
Right.
Who do we go to and complain to? The people that are closest to us. It's just
Right.
normal. It's just normal.
Absolutely. Well, Craig, where can the Limitless Nation and viewers and listeners go to learn more about you, your business, what you have going on, and just to connect and also really get in touch with you for that 15-minute phone call?
CraigSotkovsky.com. CraigSotkovsky.com. Also, go to Amazon. Everybody pays a vig. One man's entrepreneurial journey, and send me some messages.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, Craig.
Thank you for the opportunity. I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm sure that the Limitless Nation has been inspired by your story. I know I have been absolutely blown away with the amount of knowledge that you have passed on, and just the life experience is amazing. Wow.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, until next time, this is Donovan saying stay limitless.
Well, that's a wrap. Please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the word subscribe. And if you want to go deeper on learning on what you need to do to hunt your future, make sure you watch the interview that I've done with Donovan on what you need to do to hunt your future on every aspect of your being. This allows you to live a limitless life on every aspect of your life, starting from today's forward. Plus, you are going to receive tips and tricks on what you need to do to tackle your day, tackle your challenges on every situation, every single time. So go ahead and download it right now, and until then, stay limitless forever.